On the 629th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. On Donetsk front, Russian forces continued their attempts to break through the Ukrainian defense in Avdiivka. During the last 24 hours, Russian forces launched several attacks north, southeast and southwest of Avdiivka, but failed to make any visible progress. North of Avdiivka, the Russian army tried to advance by using small waves of infantry units to attack the Ukrainian positions near Stepove. One of the Russian infantry units was spotted by the Ukrainian drones moving northeast of Stepove, trying to take positions on the nearby trenches not far from the village. Seeing the Ukrainian drone, the Russian forces decided to take cover in an abandoned Russian BTR armored personnel carrier, but the Ukrainian drone operators delivered a fatal strike and eliminated almost the entire Russian unit. Today, some Russian sources, including Rebar, reported that the Russian forces had some success on this part of the sector, forcing the Ukrainian army out of the settlement of Stepove and contesting the areas north of the chemical plant as well as the industrial zone east of the Terikon. However, so far these claims do not correspond to the reality shown by the geolocated footage. Today, Ukrainian forces published footage from the chemical plant confirming that the area is safely under their control and there are no clashes happening inside the Ukrainian stronghold. On another video published by Russian sources, the industrial zone east of the Terikon, which according to some Russian sources came under the control of their army, is actually shown getting hit by the Russian artillery, and therefore this footage refutes the Russian claims. On the southern part of the sector, the Russian forces also tried to attack the industrial areas using very limited resources. Initially, Russian Telegram channels published videos of one of their tanks advancing from the direction of Yasinuvata and solo charging into the industrial areas southeast of Avdiivka. According to Russian sources, this video indicated that the area came under the control of their forces, but soon after the Ukrainian sources published another version of the story, where the Russian tank was seen getting hit by FPV drones with the crew abandoning the tank. So for the moment, there is still no solid evidence and geolocated footage to back the claims made by the Russian sources about the advance of their forces in this direction. On the southwestern part of the front line, the Ukrainian forces stopped another wave of Russian armored assaults towards Sieverne. Today, Ukrainian sources published a video which shows the massive losses that the Russians have suffered during their attempts to break the Ukrainian defenses in this direction, with more than 20 pieces of destroyed Russian equipment, which can be seen in the video. In Zaporizhzhia front, battles continue in the NW of Verbove sector. After the relocation of a part of the Russian forces who were moved to face the Ukrainian threat in the Dnipro front, now Ukrainian forces have resumed their offensive operations towards Novoprokopivka and Verbove, gaining some ground near the two settlements. Based on geolocated footage, it is obvious that the Russian forces are quite active north of Novoprokopivka, launching several waves of armored assaults towards the Russian positions. The Ukrainian army managed to reach the first buildings on the northeastern outskirts of the town and also attacked with armored forces through the tree lines north of Novoprokopivka, but so far there is no evidence of Ukrainian forces establishing a foothold inside the settlement. However, Ukrainians were successful northwest of Verbove, where according to the geolocated footage published today by Russian sources, they managed to advance for several hundred meters, taking more ground on the heights northwest of the settlement. In Kherson front, battles are ongoing near the village of Krynky across the Dnipro river. After seeing the dangerous situation that was rapidly developing on this bridgehead, the Russian command decided to use more resources and try to drive the Ukrainian forces out of the village of Krynky. It seems that after a massive wave of airstrikes and artillery shelling, Ukrainian troops were forced to abandon a good part of their positions inside the forest areas south of the settlement. The Ukrainian command continued to rotate their forces and brought new reinforcements across the river using speedboats to safely move under the coverage of the dense fog. For now, it appears that neither side has the ability to make any significant and decisive advances in this direction, so in the short term, the upcoming battles for the control of this bridgehead will likely result in a stalemate. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and have a great day.